I had a great weekend. I got out to a protest here in Regina at our legislature. That was really cool. Except the deep state continues to expose itself, even here in Little Regina. Now you have to remember that this is biotechville, and the biotechnology sector is very active in the ethers. And something happened at the protest, and actually before it began, that made me understand how deep it actually runs. In any case, I got there and there was one other guy only, and he was in his car, and he got out and we were yapping, and I was kind of going off like, why isn't there anybody here? Because I was late. And started talking about the fact that we needed these protests to be open because they were kind of being arranged privately, and we need people. But in any case, I was, and they were all greatly redeemed because they'd been there for 4 weeks, coming every Saturday. A real diligent group of people that are pretty common sense, regular folk, just concerned about what's happening. And actually, I was super impressed by their level of knowledge as to what was happening, and to a few of them, to their observations. Yeah, because there was a few things to be observed. The first thing that happened was that I was sitting on the stairs with another girl, and we were kind of waiting for other people to come. And the guy that I mentioned, he was there, and he was sort of standing out front. And this guy, a big boy, came directly up, and he was coming right at me. And he said, "What are you protesting about?" And I recognized him, but I couldn't put it all together quite then. So I started explaining to him what we were protesting about. The fact that the World Health Organization is running the show, and that there's no reason for a state of emergency when there is no emergency. I recognized him, but I wasn't sure, and I didn't want to say anything until I got home to go back to when I originally shot the footage of our empty emergency here in Regina at our general hospital.
Being chased by security right now. Okay, I am, hun. Going straight. I'm doing exactly what I'm told. Exactly. I am. Okay. Absolutely understood. Bye-bye. Have a good day. Good luck with your virus.
What happened was I had actually been at my doctor's office, and I exposed an empty waiting room. I exposed something else too, which I haven't disclosed yet. But in any case, it was when I got on the trail of what was actually happening, because I went to fill a prescription, or to get him to fill it, for my inhaler. And when I got there, on the phone when I made the appointment, she made it seem like it was busy. And I ended up going a little early I actually went by the building about a half an hour early to see if I could slide in, because I had other things to do and I was on foot. And when I came in, it was empty. And I shot a picture of that. And then after that, I went off to our hospital. And I had already kind of staked it out a couple days before. just taking a look at what was going on, and I came across empty parking lots.
Taking a little tour, looking for a fleet of white vans. Parking lot's pretty empty.
And then that's when I thought, well, hey, you know what, I better go back and take another look, and maybe I should get a shot of the ER. I wasn't there yet, and when I got there, I went around again and I watched the door that didn't open or close the entire time I was there. And it just looked like there was really no action because there were really no cars in the parking lot again. And I went in between the doors, and I never got inside, and I never intended to go inside. I actually just went. I wanted to get a shot of that waiting room. And there were two people, they had masks on. But it wasn't a great emergency. In any case, I shot it, and it was funny because I went to shoot it because it wouldn't clear up. It was blurry, and I got it, and I beelined right directly out that door and got down those stairs, and security was on me, and it was the same guy. Garda security. And I've seen them several times, even this week. I don't think that was random at all, because as we sat there and other people joined, there were people filming us just above. Yes. And it was noticed by several people, so we discussed that. We ended up, I spoke, and again, it was all about the state of emergency.
Coming down with a state of emergency. I believe that we need to get rid of this state of emergency because there's no reason for a state of emergency when there is no emergency.
It was great. And we had about 12 people out, so that was excellent. And it was a great opportunity to meet people. And I was really impressed, actually, by their level of knowledge as to what is going on. And I think I kind of freaked them out a little bit more. But we need to be informed as to what is happening, because the government is not being honest with us as to what is happening here. It's global governance and centralized government. And it's important that we keep our eye on the ball and on the facts, because to me, the number one goal right now needs to be to get us out of this state of emergency, because it's not an emergency. It does give me fear as to if there is a real emergency, because in my province we've had 7 deaths.
What's going to happen when there is an emergency if this is how they react? This is incompetence. This is directed by you know who, the World Health Organization. We need to part company with the World Health Organization.
Yeah, and 35 from the flu from September till the end of March when they quit surveilling it. Now we're under threat of contact tracing apps. And it looks like our government is going to make it so, because Trudeau is saying that it's going to be a national app. You see, here's the thing. While we're under a state of emergency, they can do whatever they want. And this is what people don't understand. All of these little levels coming out, they mean we get these levels of freedom, and we're so enthralled with those levels of freedom that we're getting back that we forget that even at the last stage of our respective plans, our freedom isn't given back. It's a consideration that may or may not be a consideration at that phase, depending on what they think. We're being held hostage. And there is no doubt in my mind that that is what is happening right now. It's scary because, again, they can do anything they want under the state of emergency. So we need to prove and make a case that there is no emergency. See, this is hard in centralized government because they're looking at Canada as one. So we're following the same plan. And then even states in the United States are following similar plans because they're all blueprints. That's what they are. The plans are being customized to meet Agenda 2030 goals. That's what it's all about. It was the shift and the disruption that was needed in order to literally kick us into mode. And that mode is really a synthetic world. It's all based on synthetics. You see, when you read the Agenda 2030 plan, what you fail to see, because it talks sustainability, you see the nature, and it all looks great. But the fact is we have no access to that nature anymore. It's a centralized government that needs complete control, like in China, because all of the programs that we're getting here in the West are originating from China. Yes. These contract tracing apps, these measures that were originally conceived of in China to lock us down. And now, all of these policies from China, from communist China, are being interjected into our Western societies. They are. The social credit system that is emerging within these apps, a system of rewards. Basically, what the COVID action plan describes as the gamification of life. Augmented reality. From what I'm reading, it looks like traveling is going to be accessible to all, but from the comfort of your little abode, because a lot of it is going to be deemed unsustainable, meaning that it's going to get really expensive and only certain people will be able to do it. And where I understand that concept is from when I was in Uganda in 2015. And I discovered that to go out and see the animals, for anybody, it was about 600 US a day. Yeah. I discovered an entire population of people that lived amongst this amazing wealth of wildlife and natural wonders. And they could never see it or go there. Yeah. Areas cordoned off. And that is what's happening, because even in Alberta, we're seeing them, closing the parks. even though that they reopened the parks, they're only at 25% from the original with the social distancing guidelines. We're going straight into totalitarian society based on public health. An entire plan and way of being in our society created around a virus. And us being diseased until proven innocent by a vaccine. This is where these immunity passports are coming in, which will eventually wrap into these apps. The more intertwined you become in this system, well, the more you can't escape. It's a web, and it's designed that way to pull you in, to get you on every end. And it's going to be difficult to stay away. If you have kids and you're planning to send them to school, they're in it, which means you're in it. If you're going to work in a corporation, you're going to be in it because it's going to be demanded that you are marked safe. Yes. I know it's going to get to the point where it's at the grocery store that you can't go in unless you are marked safe. Now, here's the thing, again, we need to talk about, because, again, they're pushing the testing where 98.9% of the people in Saskatchewan testing are coming back negative. Yet they keep pushing the testing. What is that all about? What do they want? Because I think it's more than the antigen. I do. I think they want our DNA. I think that's what it's all about. In every article I see of Bill Gates, the article, especially when it comes from what I call propaganda, the front line of propaganda, and that is the Daily Mail, all of those guys that look sensational, but they're the direct line into the public from these psychopaths. In every article, Bill Gates talks about DNA and RNA, but the only thing he discusses or lays out is this RNA. I believe he wants our DNA. Why is this run or this push for testing when only 1.1% of the population are coming back with a positive? They're searching, they're digging, they're mining. And on every frontier, they're mining data, our associations, what we do every day. And as this social credit system rolls in, it's going to impact every day of our life. Because if we are not behaving in the way that the state wants us to, we will be penalized. It's totalitarianism. And it is the complete removal of free will from the people. How in the world is this happening? That systems predicated in China are now moving into our Western societies. That's what's happening. Who's in control? Who is the deep state? From the beginning, I've been saying they're all in on it. And I do believe they are. But it seems to be that the totalitarian way is the way that the power brokers in the world have decided to manage us. And being managed like animals. And I keep saying that video after video because these are the same tracking, tracing, medicating, vaccinating. These are the same processes that they have had in animal welfare for eons, quite some time. And they're being applied to us humans. I'm worried about humanity because the whole idea with biotechnology is the injection of foreign DNA in places it doesn't belong. And now they want to place foreign DNA in us. And I think they're actually doing a general collection of that right now. Again, the virus is clearly not a threat. Not in Saskatchewan, that's for sure, but they're pushing them. Let's take a look at Saskatchewan's metrics. We have 632 cases, 43,862 tests. That's a lot. 7 deaths. 87 active cases only. Daily new cases was 2, and hospitalized is 5. Now we've had total that I have counted at 12. Yet they got 443 new tests. They're down 133 because they have targets, right? Why in the world are we under a state of emergency? And I think that needs to be the first order of business. As we're protesting, we need a clear goal. And we need to get us out of this state of emergency sooner than later, because they are actually enacting massive changes to legislation as we're under wraps. And they're not letting us out from under wraps until they have tracing on all of us. It's like being imprisoned. It is. This is a complete violation of our liberties and our freedoms. And they are integrating us in their way or highway. And I'm wondering what that highway is going to be. Are they going to imprison us? Are they going to re-educate us like in China? Organ harvest us? That's what they do there. And when you see the very same policies being enacted in a free nation, you need to be scared. Why in the world would our leaders want us to emanate China? This is bad, my friends. And more than ever now, we need to gather, we need to talk, and we need to put an end to the state of emergencies in our respective provinces, states, wherever you may be. Because that's the only way we get rid of this madness.